Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche pregame presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo and Blais coming at you live as the Avs take on the Calgary Flames for the first time this year and for the first of 3 times this month.
So crazy, right?
March. The way they've stacked the schedule,
Yeah.
it is kind of weird. The Avs have a ton of games in division still to go too, so you're going to see a lot of teams that you know pretty well if you're a Colorado fan on this one. Look, Avs coming off of a loss. They have been pretty good this year on their occasional losses of coming back and putting their stamp on games. But Calgary is by no means a pushover either, Blais.
Not at all.
How you feeling tonight? You feel good about the Avs?
I mean, just if you look at the season and how the Avs have responded to a loss, and especially this loss, right? Like a game that you thought was basically in the bucket. Like you thought you were going to win that game, you were going to walk out of there, and your pride took a little bit of a hit there.
Yep.
So I think the Avs are going to get up for this game. Obviously, I think they have this one marked on the calendar.
Yeah.
They want to play good teams, and this is a good team. So I think you're going to see a lively bunch. I think you're going to see a top line that is going to be something that we hopefully will be talking about in the postgame in a good light.
It's hard not to look at Nathan MacKinnon at the end of last game and go, boy, I bet that's not going to be a happy dude in their next game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a dude that, wears his emotions on his sleeve, got literally basically sticked in the mouth.
Yep.
And then was not happy coming off the ice, as we could see on social media. Other teams complain about that stuff. For an Avs fan base and for the team, having that emotional leader being upset after a game like that, I think is a good thing, right? Like, obviously, like the other teams want to just rail on a guy for showing that emotion. But if you're an Avs fan, you got to love that response.
Oh, sure. You talk about a team where a large complaint inside of the Avalanche fans base has been, oh, this team isn't tough enough. Oh, this team, they can't hang with that style of play. And it starts with the top, right?
Yep.
When you have your guys like Landy and MacKinnon straight up going after dudes, the rest of the team is going to follow.
Oh, yeah, and especially in hockey, where you don't want a team that's complacent that just gets punched in the mouth and just kind of is like, all right, that's cool, we'll get off the ice, right? You want a team that's fiery after losing to a team that you shouldn't lose to.
Yep.
And then at the end, some fireworks.
It was certainly interesting. By all accounts, Mac is totally fine and is going to play tonight, so you don't have to worry about anything there. Might have a nice new scar for the ladies, but
that's right.
He's good to go. So good on that front. For Calgary, they're starting their backup in Vladar.
They are?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
what's the reasoning? Did they...
I don't know. I haven't looked at their schedule. I couldn't tell you if they're on a back-to-back or what's going on there. But look, Markstrom has been lights out for them. I don't think there's any doubt on that front. No back-to-back, apparently.
Wow.
They've got
some trust.
Giving him the Vlad. Are you a believer in the curse of the backup goalie for the Avs?
Oh, give me the curse. I'm not sure.
I don't really know the details of it either, but it floats around in the Avs community that they always get goalied by teams' backup goaltenders.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd because they only have 11 losses this year. Are those all to backup goalies?
I mean, this goes back years.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I am not a believer in that. Obviously, I don't even know what it was.
$5 from Real Politic here. Needed just a few years removed from the Bing. The turn from babyface to heel has been extraordinary. Biggest flip since Hogan in the 90s. Look, maybe if he had won a Hart, the flip wouldn't have happened, all right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about Nathan MacKinnon. But it should be an interesting night. I believe Val Nichushkin is back, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm sure chat will confirm it for me in 10 seconds. So, or they'll yell at me and be like, no, Rudo, you're an idiot. He's not back. One of the two. I don't know which, but you have a really talented team in Calgary. Let's not play around it. Guys like Johnny Gaudreau and Matt Tkachuk leading a team that they do have depth scoring as well, and guys like Mangiapane.
Yep.
And the list kind of goes on.
The other interesting thing before you
Go.
ahead. No.
No.
The other interesting thing too is that they have a top pairing defensive group that scores goals.
Yep.
And is in on the play. So they kind of have the same style as the Avalanche when you look at like the build of the team,
where they're getting their production from and things like that. So I do think it will be a good matchup, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into here. This game, I think, means more to the Avs than Arizona. I don't think there's any argument around that, but a team like Calgary is one that's going to be desperate for every 2 points every single night right now, as they are 1 point in the lead of the Pacific Division in what has become kind of a mess of a division, and teams scrapping for the top here. So let's start here. Do you think Calgary can win the division, Blais?
If they keep playing the way that they've been playing this year, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a close race down there. Who's in second right now? Is it LA?
It's not Vegas, I can tell you that.
Well,
for
it's
sure.
definitely not Vegas, but yeah, I mean it's a division that's it's a good matchup every night. And
it is LA? Okay.
Yep, the Kings. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they've been on a tear there too. So when you have somebody nipping at your heels, every game's important, right? So like that's when you start getting up to play every single game.
Yeah, it's in many ways the same way inside of a game. Avs got to be choked a little. When you got someone coming for you in the standings, that's when you perform sometimes. It's just human nature, really.
Yeah, man, with the Avs, though, like, enough. Like, we've seen you do the comeback wins.
I hear you on that. Yeah.
You can do it.
We get it.
Don't want to see it tonight.
Just win a normal game.
Yeah.
Why can't you just be normal? But genuinely, you're going down the list of teams here, and they play a game against Calgary 3 times in March. And you're looking at that, and you're going, it's not unreasonable that this could be a Western Conference Finals.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to see a solid performance there. And yes, the regular season's not the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. You still get a real look at 2 good quality teams in games like this one.
And especially coming down the stretch, right? You're in March. When the schedule comes out, you look at it, you know, you're going to play Calgary 3 times. You have no clue what that team's going to be at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And vice versa. But now, you know, you're going into February and you look at this and you're like, wow, this team is talented. They're playing well. And we've got 3 games against them. You know, and the Avs are in a good spot. But, you know, losing to a team like this can really hurt your, you know, chances down the stretch to make sure that you're winning that President's Cup if that's one of your goals for the year, which I hope in the locker room it is.
I'm sure it is. As much as I don't care about the 2 points on some nights. You know this team wants to win another President's Trophy, so it is what it is.
Yep.
Are you as conditioned as I am with Calgary that there's that voice in the back of your head that's like, no, they're still in the Calgary zone. This is all a fake. They'll return to the mean here.
I don't think so. I mean, watching them this year, it's a little bit different. Obviously, with Johnny Gaudreau and the Avs history making the playoffs on a team that, you know, Calgary was supposed to just dominate the Avs.
Yep.
And it was vice versa. You get a little bit cocky, right? About like, oh, we own this team. I think the makeup of this team is a little bit different with some of the trades that they've made this year, the depth in scoring, because really the year that the Avs played them in the playoffs, they were built with basically a top 6 that could do everything, and then after that it was just a wasteland of talent.
Yeah, for sure. It does feel fairly similar in that regard. Where are the Avs further ahead of Calgary? Would you say forwards or defense?
Whew. I mean, their forward core is pretty good. Look, if you're going to put it up against the best line in the NHL, I'm going to have to go with forwards. defensively, I mean, I think it's basically like Avalanche light all the way around.
I agree, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good example of what Calgary is kind of this year. In different ways, though, too, right? You probably... I know Avs fans are going to get mad at me for this, but 1-to-1, I'd take Matt Tkachuk over Gabe Landeskog as a hockey player every single time. So they're just kind of... I know. But they're just kind of... Their strengths are similar, but kind of slightly adjusted differently, right?
Well, I wore number 7 playing hockey growing up for a reason.
Oh, God.
Might be their
Here we
father,
go.
so... I love both of their games. I like that little, like, you know, sandpaper gritty, but also have the skill to just, you know, dance you, but also will rough you up in the corners. So I like his game.
Blais was the guy that would cup check you while he's putting it between your legs. Got it. Understood now. Look, player I really want to talk about on the Avs is Cale Makar. Because on the one hand, I think everyone kind of feels like he's building a Norris caliber season here.
I might be in that camp.
Maybe
a little bit.
He has points in 10 straight hockey games, which is an Avalanche record, by the way.
Wow.
And for a defenseman, to be clear.
Yeah.
Forwards score a lot.
Yeah.
And the other side of this conversation, this will be his 14th game that he hasn't scored a goal in a row. So the puck has not been going in for him, still finding a way to produce. At what point do you need him to put one in, or can he just keep going on this assist train?
I mean, he's a defenseman, so, like, if he keeps on just putting up assists, are you going to be mad about that? I mean, you like to see goals, but a lot of those, too, are, like, shots that are tipped, right? Like, It's not like he's not getting his chances, but you have Landeskog up front, which he can pick a puck out of the air anywhere that's around him. And he's been shooting the puck. I mean, the last few games, he hasn't been playing well, I don't think. But he's still producing points.
Yeah, and that's what great players do. They don't play well, but they still find a way to be effective. I love that question you had up earlier. How many players can fit in the penalty box? What was it? I think a couple of years ago it was Flyers Rangers that had like a 150 penalty minute game.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They genuinely packed like 6 or 7 dudes into the box, and it was like dudes were standing up in front of guys that were sitting down.
If you want to find the answer to that, go to an ECHL game, and you will find out how many people they can pack into a box.
They just start putting people in the locker room after a little while in the ECHL game. Stuff gets a little ridiculous in those things.
I mean, I went to an Eagles game where there was guys standing in the penalty box because they didn't have enough room to sit down anymore.
Oh, yeah. It'll get there on occasion. The NHL isn't quite like that anymore these days.
No.
It's not like the 90s when I was growing up.
Rudo, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your 2 favorite condiments?
Does it? Just because I like mayo and burritos doesn't mean it's my favorite condiment. What qualifies as a condiment?
I mean, anything that you put on as a topping, I guess.
So, like, on hot dogs, I put mustard and onions.
Okay. How about ketchup? Mustard and ketchup?
No, not ketchup. Ketchup's fine. Like, I don't have any problems with it, but it's definitely not in my favorites.
What do you feel about Calgary's uniforms? Do you think they're mustard and ketchup? Is that your favorite condiment look?
Absolutely mustard and ketchup.
How do you feel about their jerseys, their kits?
So... I know everyone was like stoked about them going back to their throwback C.
Yeah.
I think it's overrated.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's iconic. I don't like the color combo, but that is their colors.
Yeah, the red C, like, as a logo, love it.
Yeah.
I have always loved it, thought it's great.
Yep.
The yellow outline is not for me, man.
It's brutal.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Mustard and ketchup.
I'm never going to be able to not see that. Look, all right, at least if you're a Flames fan, you can eat condiments with your jersey on and not have to worry about it.
That's true. You're still on yourself. You're fine.
It's fine. So win-win right there all the way around. This isn't Cale Makar, but I did want to branch out. We were having this conversation the other day. If Makar wins the Norris,
My kids go to hockey camp this summer.
yes, but is there a world where Makar and Devon Toews can both be Norris finalists?
Oh, absolutely.
You think so? You don't think they just cannibalize each other if they do that?
I mean, look when you're talking about a certain franchise in the Northwest called the Oilers, and some of those runs.
You have Draisaitl and McDavid right now.
The
winning
MVPs,
them.
right? Like, so why can't you have that as a Norris kind of build as well?
That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that at all. So Makar gets it this year. Taves can have it next year.
Sure.
You're good to go.
I mean, if you're an Avs fan, you got to love that, right?
If you think that's water, you don't know Blais. That's all I'm saying. There you go. It could be ranch water for sure. It's all right. Let me ask this seriously. How much stock do you put into this game? Yes, we've talked about the matchup. Yes, we've talked about the Avs want to come off the Coyotes loss, but if you lose this, you're not hitting any panic buttons, right?
You're not hitting panic buttons, but it does bring up some red flags, I think, just because this is a team that you are probably going to see in the postseason. I think if everything goes right for the Avalanche, everything goes right for Calgary, you're going to see them in the postseason, right? And you kind of want to set the tone going into the playoffs that you're not the team to be fucked with. And, you know, also the other part is you came off a horrific loss where you outshot your opponent and just couldn't put one by a goaltender, right? Like,
yeah,
you want to prove that that's not something that's going to be a trend. And especially in Avs country, back-to-back losses on a team that's this talented is really not accepted. As you can see, if you went on Twitter and like what they're talking about,
singular losses are barely accepted.
Yeah. So and just inside of the locker room, I think for a morale kind of thing, like you don't want to lose 2 games in a row.
Good teams don't go on losing streaks.
Yep.
Is 2 a streak?
2's the start of a streak. 3 is where it's like,
all right,
you're really concerned. 2 sucks, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions being asked. But it's not something, like you said, where you're switching or hitting the panic button.
Sure.
You got to blow stuff up.
All right. Instead of hitting the panic button, hit the pay me button with Blais's bets.
Oh, man. Yeah. So I got to get back on the winning track as well. When the Avs lose, I lose. So
there you
go. After the fireworks at the end of the game, I'm going Mac heavy on this round here. So let's pull this up here. Here we go.
If you followed Mac, this feels like a pretty easy path to take.
Yeah. And again, like when you're playing a team like this, your top line has to be your top line. So as you can see, my bets follow the top line. Mac with over 1.5 points at plus 145.
Yep. That's genuinely feels like good odds. I know 1.5 points, you're asking a lot there, but
yep.
Nathan McKinnon can drop 3 on anybody's head on any given night. So,
and obviously, since I took the over 1.5 points, I'm taking Mac as an anytime goal scorer because I think if you get to that basically 2-point mark, one's got to be a goal and then another is an assist.
Well, and as we talked about, when you get angry, Mac, that dude's just going to go at people all night and get his.
Yep.
Like, he's not the guy to defer. We'll put it that way.
And, if he's going, then Mikko is going to have some looks at the net because there's going to be a lot of attention paid to Mac. So you're going to see the ice open up for Landeskog and Mikko. And Mikko at plus 120 at 3.5 shots on goal, especially with him having a few quiet games, even though he is putting up points. I thought that was a safe bet at a plus, right? Like, obviously, when it's in the plus realm, you're taking a little bit of a risk.
I am confident in saying between McKinnon and Makar, the Avs might be the best team in the league at dragging teams out of position.
Yep.
You see other teams like Washington forever. They don't run dragging players to their best player. They try to get players away from Ovi and find him open in the spot. The Avs love to use both McKinnon and Makar, where they'll stand there and they drag 2-3 guys to him and then find the open man.
Yep.
So
with the speed and the talent that you have with those two, like it just opens other players up to opportunities. So.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I'm usually wrong when I put my vibes out into the world, but I really do think you're going to see the angry version of the Avs top line where they kind of just do whatever the hell they want out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see tonight as well.
There you go. You can go make those bets over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Maybe go pick up a Breck brew while you're at it if the top line's going that good. The 2 for a brew promotion probably in play tonight. We'll put it that way. You can, of course, get a free beer from Breck Brew as long as you save your receipt when the Avs score 2 goals in the first period. I think we're good for the pregame show. We did today just drop our first 2 videos for the Avs trade deadline targets. They're just quick little 5-minuters, so you can go watch one of those before puck drop right here on YouTube. Go check those out. Today we talked about Carpenter and DeBrusk. So if you want any info on the deadline, a bunch more of those videos coming out over the next week too. So
man, Calgary is interested in DeBrusk as well.
So we've heard. Yeah. It's some interesting stuff. Go look at those. We are gonna get out of here and we'll talk to you guys in the post game. You know where to find us, right here, DNVR. See ya in a bit.